All right, sports fans. Well, it's been a while since I've given an update, so I figured I'd give an update. As you can see, since the last time I've posted, I've cut my hair. I feel like one of the symptoms of Lexapro is hair loss, which, it works for a lot of things, but I feel like, it's gotten a little thin up there. Not a big deal. Well, I hope everyone had a wonderful July 4th if you're here in the States, and just enjoying summer elsewhere and wherever you may be. I just hope you're doing well. So I've been on Lexapro since the end of February, so it's coming up on, 4 months, and I think it's going pretty well. I was just watching a few of my older videos and whew, man, I was in a bad spot there for a while, but I think with some lifestyle changes, I've gotten to a better place. So I've been taking 10 milligrams every day since those previous videos in the morning. Initially, I started taking it in the evening before bed and had some insomnia, but now that my body's adjusted, if I take it a little later in the day because, I forget to take it in the morning, I'm fine. So it's been 4 months. It took about 4 weeks to get fully adjusted to it and build up in my system. I didn't drink alcohol for the first 30 days or so because I was just not in the headspace to want to drink or starting a new medicine. So I didn't drink, but I noticed initially in the first few months or like month or so, we'll call it the first 2 months, when I would drink, I would get super anxious the next day. It almost felt like the buildup of Lexapro in my system for that short time lost its efficacy and it wasn't in my system. So it wasn't a great thing. I was afraid to drink, but now I'm not saying and condoning that it's okay to drink, but I'm a social drinker. This week, being July 4th and being on holiday for 4 days, it was nice to relax and unwind, and I didn't experience the extreme anxiety the morning after having a few too many. So, just want to throw that out there. But otherwise, I think, like I said before, a few lifestyle changes have made a big improvement for me as far as anxiety and all the stress that I was under back in February. And life happens to you, and I was going through a lot then, trying to get a new job, and I was stressed about my old job and politics at working at a big corporation. So it was stressful and I didn't handle it well. I'll be the first to mention that. And usually in the past, whenever I go through something stressful, I usually start trying to take precautions after the bad stuff is set in, all the stress is set in. So, once you get to a certain point, you're like, man, I got to meditate, I got to get my health and diet right, and I got to work out. And then by that time, it's almost you've gone too far. And that's kind of what I did in February. But I still haven't had any espresso or coffee for that matter since, I don't know, the middle of February. I do drink tea pretty regularly throughout the day. I'll have, some black tea, and I understand it does have caffeine in it, but it doesn't affect me physically and mentally the way that, having a large iced Americano does. Not nearly the amount of caffeine. And I've read one in an article a long time ago where the actual caffeine molecules differ in tea, and also tea traditionally has L-theanine, which helps you calm down. I've actually taken L-theanine as a whole separate supplement, and it does help for anxiety. It's almost like a natural Xanax, if you will. But so I do drink tea, and I don't have nearly the same stimulating effect as when I was drinking caffeine or coffee and espresso. And I just feel cleaner. My energy levels are pretty much more stable throughout the day, as opposed to an extreme jolt in the morning followed by a crash in the evening. My diet has been relatively clean-ish. I can't say it's been clean this last week. All I've been eating is burgers, hot dogs, and a few IPAs here and there. But I was drinking these healthy juices daily for a while. Up until about 3 weeks ago, I was having like a primarily liquid breakfast. I would make a protein shake with a bunch of vegetables and fruit in it and some walnuts. And I'm going to continue to do that. I just haven't got my protein shake powder delivered yet. It should be here soon. I do Juice Plus. It's great and it tastes really well. Other than that, as far as diet and the caffeine, I'm sleeping well. I do have nights where I have some insomnia. I do recommend, if you struggle going to sleep or staying asleep, I've had a lot of good results from ZQuil, the over-the-counter stuff at CVS, Walgreens, wherever. I kind of take that maybe like an hour before bed. I'll have a shot of it and it puts me right to sleep, and I tend to stay asleep all night. What else is new? As far as my anxiety, I do have days where that are worse than others. Lexapro's been very beneficial in that it's hard to distinguish between what's helped more, the lack of all that stimulating caffeine or the Lexapro. I think it's been a combination of both for me. But I think that Lexapro has definitely done a good job of sort of stabilizing me. And, I don't think that I'm a depressed person, although I've been depressed before. It's usually starts with anxiety and extreme feelings of fear, and mentally you're exhausted, and physically your body's filled with cortisol and adrenaline all the time, and it's hard to produce the feel-good serotonin and other feel-good hormones. But I do feel better. I'm a lot less anxious. It's weird because physically I don't feel as plugged into those crazy jolts of adrenaline and cortisol that I had before, but obviously to a much lesser degree now, which I can attribute to the lack of caffeine in my diet and the Lexapro, which is good. But I still have the thoughts, I still have the thought patterns as I did before. If I'm going on a long road trip or if I'm traveling, I'll get anxious for leading up to it and have a lot of recurring negative uncertainty about it, and it makes me anxious, but I've gotten better at it. I kind of tell myself, everything's going to be okay. You've done this before. Nothing's going to happen. And then when I do it, it's interesting for me. I think with people with anxiety, they always have to have something to think about. And I've realized a lot over these last 4 months and what I've dealt with, but I think a big thing for me is I need stimulation in my life. I need new things. I need new experiences. It's when I'm doing new things and talking to new people and doing new activities that the anxiety has no chance to be present, because I'm so involved in what I'm doing, whether it's taking a new cycle class or traveling, even though that can be cause one like myself to be anxious. When I'm doing these things, yes, the buildup will be, anxiety will come, but when I'm doing them in the moment, I have zero anxiety. It's hard to explain. It's like, there have been projects I'm working on at work that I really enjoy in my new job, and when things are going well at work and I'm very highly stimulated with something new and exciting, it's almost like there's no opportunity for anxiety to creep in, and you feel mentally fulfilled. And I'm realizing more and more that, I need to seek out new things, because we grow accustomed to routine. And I myself am a big creature of routine. I could eat the same food and go to the same place over and over, day in and day out. It's good in some respects, right? It's good to have a routine, but it's unhealthy for, I think, a lot of people with anxiety like myself. I need to sort of break down those barriers and even though, push the threshold and do new things, because that's kind of what the silver lining is. You want to live life to the fullest and do new things, and you feel better after the fact, and proving yourself that you're capable of it, even though you suffer from, not everyone realizes how bad and debilitating anxiety can be, but I do. What else did I want to talk about? I didn't really have a game plan of what I want to talk about. I just felt bad, like, hey, here's my 4 videos of starting Lexapro, and then I go off total MIA status, so I felt bad about that. But yeah, I'm excited to hear about your thoughts and opinions on how it's gone for you guys that are starting Lexapro. I will say that there were a few points where I was like, I don't know if I need it anymore, and I started like trimming a little bit of the pill off, because I know if I get off it, I'll just go low and slow. I won't try to do anything drastic. And I did see a slight, side effect just from, taking like a little reduced dose for 3 or 4 days. So I just went back to the 10 milligrams. I don't want to deal with it right now. I'm in a good spot. So, but eventually, hopefully I'll get off of it, and I've been on Cymbalta before, and that was a nightmare to get on and get off. Hopefully Lexapro's a little different. So, well, I gotta go to bed, and now my mind is flying around with thoughts, but I just thought I would give you guys an update. I hope you were all well, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.